You're not. Oh, yes, you're on now.
We're live on Facebook, yeah?
You're live, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just about to start recording. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Crypto News. We're a little bit light on the panel tonight, but we have got some extra people going, but we know Mike's in Spain, so hey, all good. Anyway, welcome to this week's edition, and what have we got? What sort of news has been going out there this week? Crypto News will be telling... Anyway, welcome. Sorry, we've got a bit of background noise. What are we... Okay. I know I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. Crypto will do to banks what email did to the post office. Now, I don't know if anyone's heard these statistics before, but basically what happened is right around the beginning of the internet and that sort of thing, and email and carry on, the post office actually tried to get control of the internet because they knew what it was going to do to their business. And of course they didn't. You look at the post office, they have struggled. They've moved on. Yes, we all understand that, but they have big problems. They wanted to control email, and they probably would have changed, pay per click, where we send most emails for free. Okay. What else has been happening? A bit of a woeful time this last year for HSBC by the look of it. It looks like they're 33% down on their profits year on year. And it looks like they're going to shed another 35,000 jobs, which is going to make it, that's going to happen before 2021, I believe. So that's fairly serious. More positive news, Russia's central bank has completed a blockchain pilot scheme, and it's come back very favorable, apparently. So, the banks are all there. They're all playing with it. It's time going to tell. And I thought this was rather amusing. Chinese quarantines cash to stop coronavirus spreading. And it was said on Bitcoin or Coinbase, basically, this is not an issue with Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency. I thought that was quite good. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to ask Dave. Oh, before I go any further, you'll notice that on the side of the chat is it's a bit about history of money, which I think is a real good watch. I was going to play it tonight, but it's 29 minutes, and I was thinking that's too much to get someone to watch on a call. But what I wanted to say to everyone, it is in the chat there, and grab it. It's really worth a watch. Okay. Without further ado, Social Dave, how are we doing?
I was all excited and then got stopped in my tracks.
Sorry.
I will say good evening, good afternoon, and good morning in reverse order. Not really got an awful lot like I was going to say tonight. I did see something in the week, and it was an American politician. I can't even remember what he does out there, but they were basically looking into and there are moves afoot to do things with cryptocurrencies because they don't like them, and they don't like them because someone's been charged with anti-money laundering because they had I think some software that could disguise Bitcoin transactions or something. So the American US state Senate are getting a little bit twitchy about what they consider to be untrackable and untraceable crypto transactions and cryptocurrencies. And yet in Europe, it's there is regulation in place. There are the government, fiscal and financial institutions regulating things and looking at things, and inland revenue services in classing them as either assets or commodities or whatever as appropriate to that country. So Europe is taking one view. Most of the rest of the world is taking a similar view. The Americans now seem to be saying, oh, we don't like this because we can't track it and trace it. I would say even if they decide they don't like it, there's not an awful lot they can do worldwide. And if they don't like the untraceability and the untrackability of it, well, look down the route of something that's a bit more centralized or regulated or registered. But at the end of the day, you can't undo it. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can't uninvent what's been invented. The blockchain's here. Whether it's Bitcoin as we know it going forward, you know, things change, things mature, and in 10 years' time, Bitcoin might not be the crypto coin of choice. But certainly if the American government are getting twitchy, it may well be because they've got no control over it. And they might not like the idea of things that they can't control going on around the world and impacting them in different ways. So whatever their reasons and whatever their true sort of intent is behind it, whatever they do, they can't, if they do it unilaterally, it won't affect or can't affect the rest of the world. If the rest of the world says, no, we're happy, and we've got things in place and we'll regulate or we'll legislate in whatever way is appropriate for us, it doesn't go away. And I think, you know, you were just mentioning, Roger, about the post office and the internet. Well, that's the thing with the internet. It transcends borders. And although you get other regimes and governments, you know, the Chinese pretty much, I think, have got a firewall up around the country, but that still doesn't stop information crossing those borders. You're never going to stop it completely. You're never going to eradicate it. It's, you know, we're far too far down the line for that. So, you know, a government can decide they don't like something, but if other people around the world do like it, they're still going to communicate that. They're still going to be able to use it within the country, regardless, because as I say, the internet transcends borders. It's borderless and it's instant as well. So communications and transactions, I've said before, you know, bank transfers of currency, try and do it with a traditional banking method, and you're looking at sort of 7 to 12 working days to transfer money from say here to Singapore or wherever across the world. And yet with you know, online cryptocurrencies, it's an instant transaction. It transcends the borders, it transcends the paperwork, and yet it's logged and registered on the blockchain. None of that's going to go away, regardless of whether a government, the US or any other government, decides they don't like it or can't control it. And I think it's probably more that than they don't like it. It's about the control of it. You've showed videos before where the governments can print money at will. The UK government's been quantitatively easing the economy for years, and we've had record low interest rates for years. But that's because they're in control and they can manipulate and work and do whatever they want to do to an extent. But where you got the realms of the cryptocurrency and the internet and the blockchain and all the things that go with it, they've got no control. But it gives us an alternative. It gives us another way that we can manage our finances, manage our wealth, or diversify our interests and our wealth. You can't, as I said, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's here. It's far too well established. And if they just try and, if the US government, for example, said, right, that's it, Bitcoin doesn't exist in the US anymore, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist here or anywhere else in the world. So I don't think, you know, try as they might, they're not, none of this is going away. It might mature, it might change in 10 years' time. It may look a bit different to what it does now, but ultimately it's all going to be, you know, the basics are still the same. So that's sort of really what's been crossing my mind over the last couple of days, Roger.
Thanks, Dave. I'm just going to say, going back to what I said in my first statement about, you know, you were saying what crypto might look like in 10 years and how it is, or the blockchain, or, you know, what it's going to look like in 10 years. But, you know, you think even go back 10 years with email, what it was like. But, you know, go back to the beginning. You know, you speak to young people now and they think the internet's been here forever. You know, people 18, 20, 22, 23-year-olds will look at you sideways when you sort of turn around to them and say, well, the internet wasn't always here. Don't be stupid. It's always been here, because they've been brought up with it. It's always here. And it's the same with email. Like, you know, you think our email turned, you know, Dave, you know this, what it was like when it was first out. Do you remember the old dial-up modem?
Yeah. You had a choice between a phone call or an email.
Yeah, it took you twice as long to do an email. But it's true. You know, I suppose it's a bit like the fax machine, really. You know, it's, you know, you won't even go there.
What's going to happen when 5G gets rolled out? Assuming it does get rolled out. I know there's a
We're
lot
all
of
going to
people
get
that
fried. That's
very yeah. I know that it's contentious, but if it's as fast as it says it is, it just makes the transactions, so blockchain transactions, become even quicker.
Yeah, yeah.
So things like Bitcoin, where there was an argument that it's not an everyday coin because of the time it takes for transactions to sometimes to process, that will change.
For sure.
So that will become instant.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you can't predict what 10 years, looking back at the last 10 years, things exponentially speed up anyway. So, you know, it just gets quicker.
I'm just going to give everyone a little nugget here, because I'm sure not many people know this. But does anyone actually know what currency actually stands for, or where it's derived from, or what it means? It's actually the law of the sea, current sea. There you go. Little nugget for today. Take it away. I see Kenneth likes that one in South Africa. Very good indeed. Right, moving on a little bit. US Treasury advisors, this is another little bit of our advisors this week, that significant new regulations will come in for Bitcoin, not just Bitcoin, but for cryptocurrencies in general. They want to get to the bottom of, you know, basically regulation, I think. So that's where that's going on. But on a positive point, Bahamian central bank to roll out digital currency in the second half of 2020. So that's pretty interesting. So they are way on. What else have I got to offer? RBS Group to change its name to NatWest Group. Okay, they're all part of, like RBS was part of, they owned Ulster, NatWest, and a couple of others, and they're now changing the name to NatWest. I don't know why, but maybe RBS doesn't look good as NatWest. I don't know, but that's definitely on the way now. Here's a good saying for everyone: excuses are lies to yourself. It's easy to blame everything and everyone for your life. I like that. That's very, very interesting indeed. Okay. And the market shows that things are falling apart for Europe's single currency. Looks like the euro's in trouble again. Manufacturing's down in Germany. The UK's left, but I don't really know what impact that's going to have. But we'll see where it goes. The only other thing I've got to say here really is the guy who runs Ethereum, the co-founder of Ethereum, I think his name's Vitalik Buterin. He says that digital currencies, fiat and digital currency should run side by side. He said there's a place for both and they should work together. Okay. And basically, you know, he's saying that, but then they are saying out in the marketplace, have we reached the end of the age of cash? Who knows? I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Dave, but any thoughts?
Sorry, mate. Yeah, I'm being rained on at the moment. You might hear that in the background. Look,
we'll go inside.
I'm going to blame you.
Okay, that seems fair.
Yeah, why not? I mean, again, you know, the cryptocurrencies, digital currencies, it's the blockchain is the thing, isn't it? It's the blockchain that is actually the ledger that keeps the record of the transaction. So why couldn't that be in parallel with, or one thing, if it was in parallel with fiat currencies, that might reduce the temptation for governments to just print money as a way to get around things and find other ways. And then the value of the money, the fiat money, doesn't sort of drop as it does at the moment. I mean, you say UK interest rates far less than inflation. So every year, every month, every day, any money you've got in the bank is worth less than it was yesterday. So yeah, maybe having in parallel with or tied to, there's the thing, maybe what used to be the gold standard will now become the Ethereum standard or the Ripple standard, and they'll tie a fiat currency, tie it to a crypto. There's a thought.